What's going on, Internet? I'd like to welcome you guys back to Respectfully Speaking, the podcast where we talk about all things geek. Thanks for tuning in into episode number 12. Now, before we get into the topics, if you're watching the YouTube version of the podcast on youtube.com/respectfully speaking, notice podcast is also available on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and all other major platforms. My name is James, and I'm with my two co-hosts today, Jason and Malcolm. And let's get right into it because we got a lot of stuff to talk about, pretty much all anime and a little bit of Spider-Man news. So, first things first, how do you guys feel about AI? How you guys? Let me be more specific. How you guys feel about AI in creative works,
I
Jason?
Not
think
really
we
for it.
don't need artificial intelligence. I don't care. Bad, bad,
I was like,
bad,
have y'all ever watched
Okay,
Dune?
okay,
bad.
I'm pretty sure that was the whole
I,
plot. They're just like,
I
yeah,
it's,
robots.
yes,
Terminator, all of them.
Yeah, just keep going. Everything.
yeah,
But all things considered, I really think let artists do art. Straight up.
that makes sense. I get it. So it seems like we're all like in that agreement that create AI and creativity stuff is pretty much frowned upon because we care about the human aspect, right? That makes art so good, like Studio Ghibli movies and things of that nature, right? So it was interesting to me when apparently it came out that there is an AI out there where 95% of it, 95% of it is actually AI generated. So let me pull it up real quick for you guys here. Twins Hinahima, Japan's first AI produced anime, is premiering this spring, which means right now it is. The lead actress in this role, she came from Oshinoko, basically. So she's a lead voice actor now in this new anime, Hinahima, and it's their first AI generated. And they are specific. It says right here, over 95% of animation cuts are AI generated, basically. They do say that human animators are still involved with like touching it up, polishing it, but it seems like the brunt of the work is AI generated, basically. Now, what do you guys think about this?
I'm kind of speechless because at this point I didn't think it would come to this point. But like, do we? I don't know. I feel like I need a second to gather my words. Like, I
No,
think
I
it's
get
just
you.
it's making me frustrated that like this is actually happening and that we actually have to talk about this. But here we are.
The
Yeah,
wording in that paragraph is very telling. So for one, it said AI technology will have a huge part in anime production, with over 95% of anime cuts being AI generated. But what does that mean? 95% of the cuts. Does that mean that the animators still do a brunt of the paneling and the field work and the directing? Like, is there some level of input or output, or is it just kind of like we gave
right.
it a prompt and we just let the whole thing rock out on its own? Like, these are not really; those are questions that aren't really necessarily being answered in this
Oh, so you want to
article.
see like how involved is it actually?
Yeah, it's not really clear to what degree this is actually AI generated or if it's more like AI assisted. And then they're just using the AI generated tag as more clickbait to make you afraid, like, oh no, like our animators are going to get replaced.
Right, right.
So
Interesting. So you're seeing it. Okay. So you have
we
some
don't know.
questions that might need to be answered. Right. Okay. Okay.
Like, this is really
Malcolm,
nebulous right now.
do you hear Jason's point? Do you feel like there is probably like some gray area here where it's kind of like we don't know exactly how deep it is in being implemented, or for you, or you kind of like I'm off it completely
No,
for you?
I do not like the idea of artificial intelligence being put in any type of art or artistic design. I don't like it at all. But just for now, just talking about artistic work, and so that means movies, TV shows, whether that's like writing a script, animating things, or like filming things. Like I don't think that I think it's gonna go down a bad path. I see where some people can make the argument that it's like it's kind of helpful right now. It'll be okay, but just because something is helpful and okay right now doesn't mean it will always be like that because human beings are known to abuse things at their own detriment. So
I mean, you could say that for any tool that we've used, but I think as far as art is concerned, I totally agree. Just because, like, let's be real, like the only reason why AI is able to do this is because it is doing the largest act of plagiarizing in world history, by analyzing hundreds of thousands of artists' work and then spitting out something that looks like a through line based on algorithms.
And you see right here too. Um, there are people. I was just looking over at some of the comment section, so we'll get there in a second. But right now, it shows that their score is a 5 out of 10. So people are trashing it. Now, to be fair, we don't know if this is from people who actually watch it and there's actually a problem with the story, or people just when they hear AI and anything art, they're like, "No, I'm just gonna go thumb it down." Like every time Full Metal Alchemist was about to be like taken from number one, they would just spam downvotes or whatever. So it right, exactly. So let's wait. What free? Really? Oh wow. Hmm. I mean, hey, I heard really good things about it. I gotta watch that. Let's see. So this is about two. You sure? Come on now. I think Naruto's better than Full Metal. Come on.
All right,
Say
let's
that.
keep moving.
I'm trolling. Full. I might have to rewatch that too. I gotta rewatch that. But this AI anime it's about two high school girls and they dream of going viral basically. And they film all sorts of topics that could become a hot topic. They notice something strange. They notice something weird in entering a strange world. The background here too says, according to Frontier Works, which is the studio who made this anime, the AI technology has been utilized to achieve visual expressions that were traditionally considered challenging due to production constraints in this production, such as scenes depicting naturally flowing hair. By integrating AI, the aim is to explore new animation techniques and create additional artistic value within the medium. And so they call it supportive AI, basically, is their angle of this. Like, it's not really AI, but it's supportive AI. So let's look at the comment section real quick of this because I see some different opinions of this. So I don't know. It might lead us to the future of how people feel about AI implementation. So the first comment was this guy or this person, right? Rendering user. They say honestly, the anime was pretty good. I went into it expecting much less from the animation due to it being AI, but the animation here is solid. It starts off feeling a bit different, which is natural, but like any art style, you get used to it. It doesn't jitter around. It seems to be very controlled. I personally liked it. Thanks to the way it's produced, it even adds stuff that you don't even tend to see in 2D animation. Actually accurate lip syncing, which I hope will be the standard going forward. Animation, 7 out of 10. As for the story, it just seems to be a one shot where blah, 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 blah. Basically, just bad. So, this
He said
person
the
liked it.
story's terrible, but the animation's good, is what he said.
Basically, he's like, oh, it looks pretty solid. It's pretty okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, wow, look at this. And most of these conversations are people just going on rants about how AI is terrible. We shouldn't allow this to happen, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So
Yeah, I mean, I think we can make it a boogeyman or we can look at it practically. Either way, I think there's so many other things that we need to do before we start pushing all this money and effort into AI. We haven't even
yeah,
gotten used to the regular internet yet. Why are we pushing to the
yeah,
next step?
because it's the rush, man.
But
It's AI is like the
that's
gold
neither
mine
here
for
nor
them
there.
now.
People are already
Yeah,
moving towards dumb phones and stuff. So I mean, at least there's a level of like people are kind of agreeing that this is
yeah,
a little ridiculous.
yeah. All right. So Malcolm, do you have any last thoughts?
Don't
All
watch the
right.
show. Yeah, just don't watch it. Nope.
Perfect.
There are so
All
many
right.
good shows coming out right now that y'all should be watching, and then a lot of like really like middle of the road shows that are still like plainly entertaining that people could be watching instead.
Oh yeah. Um, what's that? I mean, a good plane in the middle show is Amagami Sister, basically. Um,
That show is the definition of mid right now, so
it's
far.
It's so let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So last
Well,
podcast we were looking at the winter anime, I believe, rankings, and it was like I think week 8 or week 9, and Amagami Sister jumped like from 10 spots from out of top 10 instantly to like number 3 that particular week. So and it beats solo leveling too, which was like aura
are
farming
you
basically,
kidding
right?
me? I guess
So
the setup must be crazy because I don't.
yeah, like right.
We've
So
seen 4 episodes, so this is what we're
yes,
doing. We're doing
yes.
4 episodes at a time, and then we're gonna just talk through it. And I think the idea is we're gonna essentially, through conversation and dialogue, narrate what happens in these episodes, so
Well,
you don't have to watch it.
The reason why we chose to watch it was because we saw the huge jump, and I said that something has to like make this really good. We should all watch it and like record it and talk about it because
Yeah,
none of
like
us were going to give this a shot. None of us had even heard of it before then, and so it's like, why not something fun? Maybe like we can save other people time if they saw the same thing and like, they want to watch it. So we did the hard work of watching 4 episodes, and we can tell you all about it.
yeah, and
I wrote pretty detailed notes for the first 2 episodes, and then I think
he
after
wrote
that I was
details,
like, I lost the motivation to
motivation.
get real detailed. Like if you look at my spreadsheet where I just put like one cell for episode 1, episode 2, it's like this much episode 1, this much episode 2. Episode 3 is like one line. It's like three, 4 sentence, 3, 4 word sentences. This
So
happened.
That's because you
you
were
was
really
just watching
invested
it,
into the story. You didn't want to miss what was
right?
happening.
No, I
Right.
really because
Okay.
I mean the story, the first episode, they set everything up. So essentially, the general plot is there's a guy named Udu who's an orphan. Essentially, he's walking. Well, the story starts. He's walking near a shrine and he's studying with a book in his hand while he's walking, right? And then he comes up and they're like, oh, like some bystanders like, oh, I guess he's here to like pray that he passes his exams or something like that. And he's just like, that's interesting. They think I'm here for the gods, but I don't believe in God or whatever. And then he just continues. He goes into this shrine where he was going to be allowed to live there, and so he was hoping to stay there and study. And in true anime fashion, he walks into the shrine, nobody's there. Oh well, let me walk inside. And then guess what happens? This Joker's like, oh, I think someone might be changing behind that door. Oh, good thing I didn't open it. That would have been bad. Then the people inside open it. And then there's 3 girls changing in there, and they do the usual like, "What are you doing?" and then slap him, and then call him a pervert, all the other stuff. And at that point in time, I was just like, "Yo, if we weren't doing this for the pod, bro."
This is the first
I
2 minutes. This is just the
dude,
first 2 minutes of the show, by the way.
right at the
Like,
beginning of the show. I was
like
like,
this isn't even like
insert
any
anime
part of the
cliche,
spoilers.
just straight up anime tropes for the first 10 minutes of this episode. Like I've seen this 18 times before, and then after that, what else happens? What happens after that? Like
Um,
sequentially. James, you're muted by the way.
what does happen?
Oopsie.
So
What
like,
in episode one?
because I know what happened in the episode. I don't want to tell it out of order, but
Yeah,
after that, they
To be
like he
honest,
explains himself, right? And he's like,
yeah, he
"Oh, I'm
pretty much
actually
explains
here,
it.
blah blah blah." And then the actual priest, he's away right now.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
like the
so
whole first
they
episode, he's away until like the epilogue. Yeah,
and I he just why don't I remember? I just watched this. This is bad.
So
dude. So
after
It's
that, they
unforgettable.
start talking. He explains why he's there, and he's like, "Listen, I'm just here to study. Can you let me like do my
that's his
thing?" And
whole
they're like,
character
"Yeah,
arc to
yeah."
study.
And then like they just go through a lot of this
Oh,
cheesy
yeah, the same
scenes.
stereotypical. He walks into one girl, he falls over. Other sisters come in, like what's going on, and the same thing happens twice. Yeah,
There's like the main girl that very clearly the writer wants you to ship the main male protagonist with. Then there's the older sister and then the younger sister, and they both like one of them's ditzy, one of them's younger but kind of smart and spunky, and then the one like in the middle is like really rough around the edges but clearly a tsundere. And I'm like, all right, like
I
And
see
here we
what's
apparently,
go
happening.
again.
the older sister too, has like some like other side to her in a way that we don't know yet. But
Yeah,
there's obviously they're hinting towards there's another
She's
side to the
just
older
ditzy,
sister.
bro. She reminds
Yeah,
me of the oldest sister in Quintessential Quintuplets, except I actually really love that show, and so far this show has given me nothing to like
I
brag
thought it was
about.
gonna be. I was when I was watching, I was like, "Ooh, this might be just as entertaining as the quintuplets anime," and I'm like, "Oh no, it's not." It's well, okay. Look,
We might be saying this show is trash now, but we're only 4 episodes in. And let's be real, some of our favorite shows needed a lot more than 4 episodes to set up properly.
I can think
I
of
believe in the
one.
3 episode rule. Naruto.
No, 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 no.
Steins Gate.
Naruto needed a little bit of setup, bro.
No, I can think of one really big show that needed some time to set up.
One Piece needed a little
Bleach.
bit of time to set up, but it's fine because it's actually peak.
Okay.
But
It's
Well, this show
actually
has
anyways.
25 episodes, so the fact that it has 25.
I mean, in today's day and age, a show actually dropping with 25 episodes straight and it's not a shonen, it's insane. Because nowadays shonen are dropping and they only have 13 episodes, and I kind of
Mm-hmm.
miss these 24 to 26 episode seasons because you can actually get a lot, you
That's a
know.
good
But
point,
that's neither
actually.
here nor there. I'm still butthurt about Don Don stopping at episode like 13 or whatever, but
Oh yeah, and then they wait. Didn't they continue the rest of the way to like 20?
they might have, but I got like
No, you might be
stopped in the middle
right.
because I think they took a break with animation. But anyways, after that, I can't remember exactly what happened, but what happened was the redhead girl, the one in the middle who's rough around the edges and the Tsundere, she started working on talismans, right?
Yeah,
And then he looked at her. I swear, this guy's like an op. Like he's definitely like MC good guy syndrome, but he's an op. And she's like, "Oh, I'm making these talismans because like some people like they really like count on us to like connect them to the gods and blah blah." And he's just like, "You're wasting your time." Like insert atheist stuff. And then
Yeah, this
Sir
kind of
Atheist
was.
she
It's
stuff.
just
get
like it's so
he's an op.
pointless.
He's a hater.
It is.
But he was so rude about it. And he's in their home and they're taking him in. So I'm like, God, he's like really OD. And then they talked about the hair ribbons that all of them wear as shrine maidens or whatever and how it matters to
Yeah,
them. And it's one of the last things
the
they got from their late mother, who used to be the
right.
main shrine maiden before that she died and stuff like that. And then fast forward just a little bit of time, they go outside. The one girl, she's like trying to like talk to a foreigner who's visiting the shrine who's French, and she didn't know French. Uryu is super smart and stuff, and then he's like he translated for the little
Yeah, for her.
girl,
Yeah. Mhm.
and then she's like, oh, like she's trying to give you this talisman. Little girl is happy. The shrine maiden girl is happy. She's like, oh, I guess all that studying is worth something. Thanks, blah blah blah. A crow swoops down, grabs the ribbon out of her hair, and flies away with it. I was like, no, I mean, they were just talking about how important it was, so I'm
Yeah.
not surprised they would immediately go to that.
Yep.
And then he's just like, she's like, oh, like that sucks, but I guess maybe the gods will help us. And he's like, the gods aren't gonna help you. That's stupid. Stop. Like, he just like snapped at her.
He is a buzzkill every time,
He is
bro.
just as straight up out for the whole first
That man
episode.
is lonely.
They argued and split out. The older sister's like, oh, I hope they make up. Blah blah blah. The younger sister's just, I don't know what she was doing, bro.
Just
And
being ditzy.
the two other sisters, the older and younger, went to Uryu's room. They couldn't find him. Well, where is he? I hope he didn't just up and leave. He was outside looking. Good guy syndrome.
That was sweet. That was the
Yeah.
first time I was like, okay, that was kind of sweet.
The
In the book.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. And then he was just like, "Hey, I was really rude back there," and blah blah blah. And then the two older and younger sisters, they went to his room, and then they saw a picture of Uryu as a kid with what looks like is his mother in a hospital bed with all these tubes and stuff. And they're like, "Oh, dang, that's probably." And then he had all of these talismans and stuff in his hands. Like he was like, "Oh, dang, he must have been praying every day." And his mom still died. And they were like, "This is like a really straightforward first episode, and I can appreciate it for that."
Yeah, honestly.
They were just like, oh, so that's why he's an op and is like super mean to the shrine maidens for being like optimistic and like, oh, like a miracle might happen and blah blah blah. And
I would.
then
It was so obvious, though, man. I mean, like, okay, the first in the whole first episode just itself, bro. He's just responding with insert non-believer, like, atheist talking points. Cool, that's fine, whatever. That's a character, and that's who he is, right? As soon as I just there's a difference between like having a discussion when they want to talk about it and you just being just rude about it. Like you have these shrine maidens who obviously grew up in this belief. They have this faith. They have this mindset, and all you're doing is shutting them down. Like it was, this character was not relatable whatsoever. He was not someone I would want to hang out with whatsoever. And I know we'll talk about it
But
throughout these 4 episodes, but
I,
I'm just gonna say it. This man, I don't know. Maybe it does get better later on, but I feel like in 4 episodes, I know more about all three of these girls in depth than the guy. I
I
don't know
disagree with that, bro.
Jack.
I totally
I
disagree with you, bro.
what do you go
We'll
ahead?
get to I will get to it.
I,
I agree that we don't have an entry point to relate to him very well because he's not a very personable main character. but I would not say that we know more about the girls than him.
We 100% do.
All right,
I think you
let's
do.
finish episode one. What happened after what I said? And then when we get to that point, I'll tell you why you're wrong.
Wait, Malcolm, what was you gonna say?
I was gonna cut you off and say that, like, just to keep us grounded, you're absolutely right that, like, he's not a relatable character, and, like, he's kind of just like he's a buzzkill and this and that. He's an edgy 14-year-old main character of an anime. Like, this
I
this
thought he was
isn't
like
written for
about to go to
us.
college. I
No,
thought he was like 17.
no, he's still in high school.
No, like 17, about to go to college type situation. I thought he
No,
was like a year out.
no,
No, he's in high school because
He's talking
remember
about
in
college
the
entrance. So I'm thinking like, he's
no,
at the end of high school.
no,
no. Remember in the beginning of the second episode when the guy leader of the
Mhm.
shrine came back and was like, "You're gonna marry one of my granddaughters," and Yorua, whatever I forgot his name. What's his name,
Who do
Jason?
you?
Uryu,
Uru.
Uryu.
You know,
Um,
I know his name is because Uryu is the guy from Bleach, and I haven't seen
oh, here he
Uryu since
goes.
Bleach. So
Here he goes. But yeah,
hey,
so
listen, I'm a Bleach
he
guy.
runs after the grandfather and is like, "Yo, I can't do this. I'm just here to study. I'm not trying to marry nobody. I'm a loser and everything like that." And the grandfather's like, "Oh, really? Well, I was gonna recommend you to like this high school that's a high acceptance rate to get into that Tokyo
Oh
Med's
yeah, you're
university."
right.
And
Yeah,
that's when
I,
he's like, "Okay, I'll marry one of them. I'll
Mhm.
marry one of them."
He
You know,
folded like an omelet so fast. Like, oh fuck! All
I
you
will
heard
say
is
the
like the
comedy is
ears.
top notch in
The
this. I will
ears
say.
did the thing where you like
Yeah,
hear that mud, and he folded so fast.
the
Did you
comedy is
skip
top
the
notch.
part where they actually had the miracle?
no, we were just explaining why he's in
No,
high school.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you're right. But just to backtrack, he ends up not finding it, but he was out there for a minute. His hands are all scratched up. His face got dirt on it. He was clearly right.
yeah.
She sees him and she's like, "Oh my gosh, like he's really sweet, blah blah blah." And he actually like rings the bell and prays for a second, and I'm like, "Praying to who? I thought you didn't believe in God." And then she was like, she prayed right next to him, and she was like, "Thanks, by the way." And then she also asked him like, "I thought blah blah blah," and he was like, "Yeah, I still don't believe in God, but like, I'm really sorry for what I said, and what you do does matter, and blah blah blah. Let's go home." And then while they're walking, the other two sisters find them, and then they start talking about this and that. And then the meteor shower thing that they mentioned earlier in the episode, we didn't mention it, but essentially it's like, "Oh, it's like a miracle, it's like blah blah." And he was just like, "Well, if stars actually came that close to the Earth, then it would have burned you up." He's an op, bro. Like he's just a
Just straight up
jerk.
hater.
Was that the same
And
scene where when the meteor shower was happening, the cherry blossoms were falling down
Yeah,
too? And he
yeah.
was like,
yes,
"Oh, that makes so much sense. No wonder why you guys think this is a miracle."
hmm
Like, come on, dude, shut up.
and then she was just like, "Hey, bro, it just looks beautiful. Can that be the miracle? Can you chill?"
Right. And he was looking at the three girls too. Wait,
And
crazy.
then he was like, "Oh, I guess it is kind of beautiful." Insert foreshadowing. And then some like sparkly thing happens, and the ribbon falls right on her head.
Yup. Yup.
So it makes me think that there's a slightly supernatural element to this show.
Maybe.
I question about that scene too. By the way, I should have rewinded. I didn't. I really wish I could have. That there, I thought there was someone in the tree because we saw the ribbon
There was
in the
someone in the tree.
nest. I was about to say 'cause there was someone in the tree that there was a
I
ribbon
thought it
on
was a
top of the eggs
bird, but
nest.
maybe I'm
I thought there was both a person and a bird.
maybe I'm missing it.
Birdman.
What
No,
if
like
the
for
person
like
turned into a bird? It was not funny.
Malcolm.
Yeah,
Like go
we
back
are
one.
butchering this show. I feel so bad for anyone who's like, "Oh, I can't wait to hear them review my favorite show ever," and we're just like, "Yeah,
Let's be
I was
honest.
like,
The only
"What's a
people the
person?"
people listening to this either watch the show or they'll skip to the next topic. So I'm talking about this
Nah, for
show
real.
unedited. But for real though, I thought that was actually somebody because I saw a little leg. So I was like, it has to be somebody. So who knows? I'm sure that's a character in the future we'll learn about all those stuff. But um, yes, episode one was uh, not entertaining. Actually, I'm not gonna lie to you. If I was not part of this challenge, I would have probably
don't call it a
took a
challenge."
pause. It is a challenge. That the whole 23 minutes was a challenge for me,
He said, "This is a
because
punishment."
it was. Dude, we okay. Take a step back of episode one. Okay, let's talk about what actually happened. Okay, I'm gonna give you the 30 seconds of what actually happened. A random boy shows up to a shrine. No one's home. The writer tries to subvert the trope of like, hey, I'm about to go through this door. Oh wait, this girl, I'm gonna be smart and not do anything. I appreciate that. I appreciated like the
I did appreciate
subversion
that.
about it and everything. And he still got in trouble. Okay, it's okay, that happens. But the whole episode is him just tripping over two of them. One of them, he was trying to be nice and like while she's over there sleeping on the floor, and he got messed up for that too because he
He
fell on
tried to
top of
put a
her.
blanket over her because
Yes,
she was literally
and she
sneezing,
overreacted. Right, right. But that's
and then
all the
she
whole
called him a
episode
demon or
was.
something.
The entire episode was that with a little bit of like, hey, I might be atheist, but I kind of like you a little bit too, and I want to help you out. Like so, and
He was
that's
like, "You're
all it
not all
was.
bad.
Like not all
You're
bad.
right.
Like that's all it
You're
was.
right." I
So
agree with you. I didn't enjoy this episode a lot, but given how much content we got in 22 minutes, of course they didn't have time to like really do the. I think they're really trying to communicate a lot of information so that they can probably. This is my optimistic take. They're really like packing a lot of plot and setup right now,
mhm.
so that later on they can flesh out some of the interactions that really make you. Because I mean, the first episode of Quintessential Quintuplets was a lot better than this. It wasn't like, wow,
And
this is
always will be.
groundbreaking anime, but in terms of a setup and in terms of intrigue and like giving us different characters, like, yeah, there were certain tropes that seemed really annoying. Actually, some of the same tropes that we saw in this one. The one girl with the star in her hair, the redheaded quintuplet, very
Yeah.
similar to the redhead here in terms of like rough around the edges, but like really earnest and trying to work hard, but like hard to get along with. The older sister who's kind of ditzy, but like deep on the low, you know.
Yeah, Ditzy
So
but deep.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking like, hey, I think just because of like marketing purposes, they kind of need to start general and then get specific. And so I'm really hoping these characters get fleshed out. So far, I'm really not happy with it. I'm not really taken by anyone in this show. I feel like my favorite character right now is the priest because he's the only one who's OD. Because I noticed a trend with this show. At the end of every episode I watched, he like did like some kind of like bomb drop at the end. He was like, "Oh yeah, and by the way, you're marrying my daughters. That's why you're staying here." And then the next episode, he does a similar bombshell at the very end. I can't
Yeah.
remember if he does the same thing with episode 3 or if that was just like that
3 was the
business on the
marriage
guy.
trials,
But
right?
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Probably best episode. Best
all
episode of
right,
those 4.
let's.
Really.
But that's episode 1. Anyone want to summarize episode 2? And any of us can just kind of jump in.
Episode 2.
God, was that boring you?
You're a hater.
I will hate this. Episode y'all can't even tell me what episode 2 is about, and y'all calling me a
I
hater.
can tell you everything
I'm a
about
realist.
episode 2 right now.
Oh, because you took
Do it.
notes. That's why. Because you're a loser. That's why.
I wanted
You
to
study.
make
You
sure
study for the
we
test.
knew what we were talking about.
It's just
That's
like
true.
school. Me and James didn't take any
Also,
notes.
yeah.
You took all the
I
notes.
actually,
Basically.
I'm not gonna lie. I actually like episode 2 the best out of the first 4.
Really? I guess so. I can see that. There's a little bit of like a character moments in there. I'll give you that. That's true.
And episode 2 is why I disagree with you. We learned a lot more about his backstory, his friends, things with his family than the girls' moms. All we know right now is that the 3 girls are really lazy archetypes of anime cliches right now. Their mom died, and they're incompetent. That's what we know about the girls. That's it.
Hmm. I don't know. I see what you're going with. Cause so so let's talk about
But
the
there's
second
no
episode.
individual character of the 3 that individually we know more than Uryu as an individual. That's the point that I'm trying to make.
I disagree. I think I can point out all 3 individually right now, just on
All
the
right,
4
choose
episodes.
one of the individuals who we know more about than Uryu right now, and I'll tell you. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I just haven't noticed it because right now it just thinks I feel like these are walking archetypes until they get developed into people.
Not only is the little girl the youngest one, not only is she like you said, like she's like a kid and she acts like a child and stuff like that. She wants to be smart, right? I do think deep down we're seeing the idea that her belief is flexible depending on what she needs to get done, right? I think that's potentially like a really good character like development right there. Like how far does your faith go when you get pushed to the wall that you're
But you
willing to
can say the
sacrifice?
exact same thing about Uryu, but
Mm,
just differently. No, I mean in terms of like if we're just talking like fact per fact, in terms of
mhm.
like objective things that we know about them, not necessarily like, oh, this looks like the whiff of potential. No, fact for fact, what do we know about this person?
Yeah, we know he's atheist, and he cares. He's atheist. Sounds like he is
Episode
because his
two
mom
gave us
died.
so much background, and I
No, it
think there's
didn't.
more background on Uryu than there is background on the girls.
There's
No, go ahead, Malcolm. Go ahead, Malcolm. Go ahead.
just
Go
to
ahead.
be the mediator,
Just a little
just to
bit.
be the judge of all this. I think Jason is right. Now that I'm really like analyzing it, that episode 2 did give us a lot of background information. I think it did give us a lot more background information for him than the rest of the girls. But I think James is trying to argue that the show overall has given us more information on the girls presently than we have him.
Oh, in their character development, I'd agree with you.
Yeah.
I think the girls have been more developed
Yeah, we know more
so
of the
far.
girls' individual personalities right now. Not like their background though. We don't know anything really about that other than like they. Yeah, there's a difference.
Yeah. Thank you,
Like
No
Malcolm.
problem.
I would
I listen.
say about um the loser, you.
Udium.
Uyu.
Uryu.
Our friend James
Um,
cannot speak. By the way, he has
no,
a
I
speaking
I
disorder.
see male protagonists usually in the shows because I don't remember
Like
people's
that one
names.
time with homegirl at the crib.
No,
Hmm.
be quiet.
Honestly, I don't even know why
Um,
we let you speak. That's like probably the worst. You're the worst.
so for me, in the second episode, here and Jason, I want you to correct me if I'm wrong here, okay? Genuinely, here's what we know about him in terms like who he is, okay? He does not believe in gods, presumably because of how his mother's illness turned out. No matter how much he tried to follow the customs of his culture, like making the cranes and stuff like that. So we know that's a reason. I do appreciate the writer in episode two. Um, it's like a thing where in my head the easy answer would be like, oh, he wants to be a doctor because his mom went through that. He doesn't want anyone else to go through that, right? Very simple, straightforward, right? But except the writer doesn't really do that. So the writer actually says to, I think it was the older sister or all three of them when they were snooping, following him around back home or whatever, and they were saying the idea like, did he want to become a doctor because of his mom? But in reality, he cared about the orphan kids, right? Which is nice. That's really good. Um, if you want to
But they didn't say
say,
it, they showed it.
well, they showed it, yeah. If you want to say that is something that we know a lot about him, I guess. But like,
Let's
it's
just say this.
he is a heart of gold, even though he's a weakling.
Also, he won't be a dick about it to a kid.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
Because remember that one kid
Yeah.
Okay, I
who
will
made
appreciate
that
that. That's
whole
true.
like 1,000 paper cranes, and he was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna bring this. Like, will this help? Blah blah blah. Will this help my mom?" I thought he was gonna be like, "No."
he straight up was
It's
like, it was the hard work that you
like
put in, and the doctors would really appreciate, and they'll work just as hard. And I was like, that was really, really good.
that was a really thoughtful pivot that didn't compromise the fact that he didn't believe in God, but it still like validated the efforts of. I'm just gonna assume he's 8 because he's just a small kid at the
Some
orphanage.
child, yeah.
Yeah,
And in my mind, episode 2, like I guess you're not invested. Episode 2 broke my heart because it's like, bro, like these kids are sitting here, essentially like they're not battling their own cancer or illness, but they're battling like the potential or pending loss of parents. Like that
that's tough
sounds
on them too.
heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
That's terrible. Those kids scared the crap out of me.
I mean, for me, I just was like, my heart was breaking because the kids are just like going through this, and they had like the one picture of the kid with that bowl cut, and he was just like, "Oh, I done spent all this time making this because, like, as a child with no focus, kids don't have no focus or attention. But if you're a
Whatsoever.
kid and you can do that, that must mean fear of losing your parent is dominating you,
Yeah,
like, completely. And for me,
yeah,
that's tragic.
and it's
And then I
sad
feel
too.
like
Yeah,
the episode introduced childhood friends. It introduced that doctor woman who helps out at the orphanage or that whatever it was. They didn't actually call it an orphanage, but I think it was. It was just a place where they take care of kids who whose parents are sick, not necessarily whose parents are dead.
right.
But I guess it's adjacent to the orphanage that he grew up in, since the one girl who showed up was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, we're childhood friends, blah blah," and
Or
then
maybe it's
there's
the
like
same
the older
orphanage.
doctor
Maybe.
woman,
It,
and it was like,
yeah.
"Oh, he clearly was inspired to work hard and do it all like that one pink haired doctor was, and the way that he helps out and does all this stuff. And then she was also like, "Yeah, you're really gonna quit that easy? I've seen you do a lot more." And he's like, "Yeah, you're right. I'll go back to this house and all that stuff." But we missed the part where we skipped right past the reason why he was even back home in the first place.
Yeah.
The episode starts, and
Oh,
obviously
we
the
didn't even
grandfather
say the
dropped
whole
in the
point of the
first episode.
show. The priestess comes back, and yeah, wow, we are fumbling the bag. I'm really
No,
sorry
no,
for
no,
the
no, no,
fans of the
no.
show.
Let's go back to the
I'm
beginning
not.
of the episode. It's
Yeah.
alright. It's alright. The beginning of episode 2, grandfather drops that they're gonna get transferred to the high school acceptance if he's like the high school that he wants to go to that has a high acceptance rate of the med school that he wants to go to in college. He folds immediately, as we talked about. He starts calling the priest grandfather and everything. And then the girl starts scheming like, "Oh, let's get him to leave by giving him all of our chores." And then they like wait till there's almost nothing in the fridge and be like, "Yeah, you have to make us food." And they're like, "He's not gonna be able to make anything out of this. He's like a beastly cook." I'm like, "All right, bet." Next thing was like, "Oh, like you have to do our laundry." And then he's just like, "Are you serious?" And he's like, "Yeah." Then he does their laundry like a professional like dry cleaner or whatever. And they're like, "Dang, like how'd you do that? Also, why are you so blasé about women's laundry?" Then they like went past that and he's like, "All right, third one, you have to clean the older sister's room." And it's like
It was
completely.
nasty,
But I was like, that's like
disgusting,
anything to tell someone to do. Like one of our chores is to clean up after the messiest of us.
nasty,
That was anything. And then he
grimy.
did that too. But instead of just like, "Oh, I'm gonna prove these girls wrong, I'm gonna stick it out," he's like, "That was too much. I'm gonna leave now." And he just dips. And then they follow him because they're worried about him because they
Stalkers.
regret doing all that. Hence all the stuff that we talked about at the orphanage and parents and blah blah. And then he's like, "All right, I'm not gonna give up. Let's go back to the house." Came back. They started doing their own chores. Then he realized, I'm still gonna have to do all the chores because this chick can't cook. They suck at doing laundry, and then the room is just never gonna be clean otherwise. And so he's just like, "Hey, I guess I still have to do all the chores, anyways. Not because they're making me, but because it's just not gonna be right otherwise." And then that's
Um,
the end of episode. Oh yeah, and then the bombshell about the marriage
the mayor's trials.
meetings that the priest slash grandfather put them through.
I will say I am surprised for the maidens to be so bad at everything. Like, not even like in a sexist way, but more so like this is your home. You live here like all your life. You don't. You mean you don't clean up your room? You don't know how to wash the dishes. You don't know how to cook. You don't know how to do nothing. Like, what do
You'd
y'all?
be
What do
surprised.
y'all do?
Oh, it wasn't that they couldn't cook. It was that the redhead girl,
It's really slow at things.
she
Oh, that's
spent
right. She's
so long. She's like,
slow.
"Well, I had to thank the gods for every single individual ingredient." I was like, "Well, dang, no wonder you're not gonna get anything done quick."
That's some
So it wasn't
DoorDash
like they
right there.
couldn't do it.
That's true. That's
They're
true.
inefficient.
They're inefficient, and that's why it's terrible that this show promoted a male savior to save the day.
Honestly,
You
that's
know,
a very good catch, James. Yes,
Yeah, they should have made the maidens more competent.
yes. We love women's empowerment here.
yes, we do. Yes, we do. So
Yeah.
now, with all that said, let's get to now that we got the boring, episode out the way, episode 2. Let's talk about the real juicy episode 3. Okay, this is the one where stuff actually happens. We actually learn about characters.
All right, tell us all
So
I
about
thought this
it.
was a very underwhelming episode, if I'm honest with you.
really, what
We
a
just have different opinions on the episodes.
what? Okay, tell me. Okay, go ahead. Talk to me about episode 3. What was your thing about it?
They had marriage interviews, and then at the end of the episode, the guy came and threatened to sell the shrine, and that was it.
Well, he has to marry them because they need a marriage to save the shrine. I don't think we even mentioned that part. Like that's the whole.
No, no, no.
That's
I think
true.
they need someone to keep the shrine going, like someone who helps
Make
out
money.
and
Yeah.
runs the shrine.
But
Not necessarily the marriage.
I thought he needed to marry them.
No, that's the
But he was, I
grandfather.
mean, yeah, to take
The
over the family and keep the line
Yeah,
going.
Yeah, to keep the line going, yes, but the evil guy who had a crazy evil face,
well
I was like
that's
that.
a whole separate thing.
Yeah, he was just more so like I need money. Like how am I gonna? Why would I fund you guys? You guys are poor. Y'all are broke. Y'all lazy. Y'all inefficient. What's wrong with y'all? Why would I take care of y'all? You know how much money I make? Stuff like that type of energy. So he ain't say lazy and broke. I'm just saying that. But
I think he did.
they call
He
him
might have.
lazy, and he talked about their mother
Yeah,
too.
that was disrespectful. That was crazy.
Jason, I don't know how you
Yeah.
watched that scene. That scene was way more
All
engaging
right, at
than
the
episode
very
2 and
end, at the
episode
very
1.
end, that was the part. That was the part. But the marriage interview
Like,
parts was pretty underwhelming. The marriage interview parts was
Okay,
underwhelming.
I
James,
love
explain
the
your
marriage trials.
explain
Explain the
I
your
love.
episode,
Okay, so
start
episode
to
pretty much
finish.
is so Euro. Right to tell you saying Euro,
Udiu.
Euro, Euro,
Euro is
Euro,
crazy.
Udiu. Udiu.
Euro,
Ooh to you.
Euro, Euro.
Ooh to you, bro.
Ooh, Euro,
You know how to say Ryu, right? Just ooh, Ryu.
ooh, ooh, you, ooh, you.
There it
There you
is.
go. So
Better.
ooh, you, ooh, you. So Uyu, he meets with the youngest mate
Shrine Maiden.
shrine maiden, Asahi, whatever you call
Dang,
her.
I actually don't know their names off the top of my head.
Dan, look at you, terrible. But anyway,
The
I'm gonna just say this. I'm tired of y'all. Okay, I'm gonna keep it simple and basic. The male protagonist met with the youngest sister. Okay, first, and he was forced to go on a
why you
5 hour
saying it
jog,
like
right?
that?
Because I don't care about the names, bro. They'll know what I'm talking about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then why you listen to this segment right now? Skip it. Anyway, um, the male protagonist went with the youngest sister, and it was a marriage trial, and he thought no one was going to take it seriously. He thought there was no possible way these three girls who don't want to marry me, they don't even know me, they know I'm atheist, why would he want to spend their time entertaining this? But he's finding out the first date he has to go on this 5 hour jog, and we find out that the younger sister is actually a pretty someone who really cares about their fitness, care about their health a lot, you know. So they go on this 5 hour jog, and I guess they found out that she was like missing her running shoes or whatever, stuff like that. So, oh wait, no, I'm skipping the whole thing. So they went on a 5 hour jog. They talked a little bit to get to know each other, and after the jog, he was exhausted. He went to go take a shower. Come to find out, the younger sister was already in the shower, and she did reveal ahead of time that hey, I just like having the door open because I don't like to
I
be
don't
in
like
closed
it. I don't like
spaces.
closed spaces.
Right. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, we're about to see her in a tight space, aren't we? And behold,
Pause. Halt.
be quiet. Y'all know what I mean. If you didn't know what I meant, I'm looking over here because my mic's right here. If you don't know what I meant, you have a dirty mindset, okay? So anyway, back to what I was saying. Um, she took a shower. I forgot. I don't know if they took a shower together or they did it separately. I
They
forgot
did
what
it.
not
He
happened.
take a shower.
accidentally
They
walked
did
in.
not take a shower.
They did it separately.
He walked in and was like, "What's wrong with you?" and left. And then she's
And
like,
then
"Oh,
dipped.
sorry, I don't
You
like closed
blacked
spaces."
out at that point, huh?
Basically.
He was talking
Be
about some
quiet.
tight
Here we
spaces
go.
and then blacked out.
Here we go. Anyway, so they found out that she's missing her like running shoes, so they go to the storeroom to the shed and everything. They're searching for the shoes or whatever. She makes, and now mind you, it's nighttime. So the youngest sister, she's making this joke like, wouldn't it be funny like if we were trapped like you and me with a girl? Like, oh my gosh! And then the doors shut.
Because of the wind.
She folds like crazy. All this talk, all this hoorah, just to crumble under pressure. She's over here shaking, spooked and everything. Like she got like ketamine in her system and everything like that.
Your
And
narration is killing me, bro.
this is what it was. So the male protagonist realizes that the youngest sister, she suffers from claustrophobia. So he lets her
Mm-hmm.
cling to him while he breaks a window, right? And he's really
Mm-hmm.
trying hard to break this nail, break this window and everything. And matter of fact, it takes him all night to do it, but he finally breaks the window, right? Now, it was funny how he broke the window. He's like, I'm gonna go get help. He looked over. Oh, this is a tall shed. And I love how he tried to get out, and it was realistic. It took him so long to get out that by the time he got out the window, he told her to stay behind, stay in the shed. I'll come down and unlock it for you. So he unlocked it. She cracked the joke saying, "Hey, that took a little bit longer than you said. You fat or something like that." And he was just like, "No, I'm just scared of cat." He didn't say that. I'm just adding the context because that's the truth of what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So she apologizes. She um something like that. Anyway, that was pretty much the first trial. The first trial was pretty much them, you know, seeing how things were going. I personally don't think this is just my personal commentary. I personally don't think she's going to be the one he marries. There's always the younger sister never really gets the chance. She's just there for the cutesy. I hate to say it because the show is trying to make it a romance, but I don't feel romance. I feel a very big bro, little sister dynamic more so.
It feels
So
gross.
it feels weird to me that like they're even entertaining the thought that she's in the running. Like, come on now, she's clearly not in the running.
I'm glad they at least wrote in that Uryu does see her as a child because that girl is a child, bro.
Literally a child. She there's no escaping it, right? So
Yeah.
To be
anyway,
fair, they're all children, but like she's even more of a child.
she's even more younger, right? And I guess they try to excuse it like saying, "Oh, like she's also in high school, so she shouldn't be seen as a kid no more." But I'm like, come on, dude, don't start this. Um,
Yeah, they drew her like a 10-year-old, bro. So
yeah,
as
it's
far as I'm
well,
concerned, she's 10 years
people
old.
people are into that whole lolly crap, right?
Yeah.
So
Listen, not me, bro.
yeah, so anyway, after that, he meets. I thought because Yuna is the redhead girl, right? She's the tsundere, right?
Hmm.
So I thought they was gonna save her for last because, in my opinion, she had until episode three, kind of sorta, she had the most interactions with him that felt like actual like back and forth, whereas the other girls felt more different, basically. So I was surprised to see that she was a second girl for the marriage trial,
But it's
and so
going
he
in
was trying.
order though of age, so
It is going to go to age, which is true. That's true.
Gotcha. That's true.
So he sits down, he looks at her, and she's over here being polite. And I was like, this woman's being polite to me? You throw salt on me every day. If you like all this stuff to me and you're just sitting here being nice and smiling and being considerate, like what? Like that's some brand new stuff to me, right? So he's over here flabbergasted because he's like, what is going on with these girls? Why are they making this such a big deal? I thought we all knew this stuff or whatever. So they start talking and um, uh, something happened. What happened with them? What was their thing? Oh, they went on a walk. My fault. They went on a little nice little walk throughout the grass or
And then
whatever
they
sidewalk, or
talked.
whatever. They talked a little bit about love. Well, they talked about love, but she asked him what his hobbies were, and of course he says the most boring answer you could possibly say when you're on a marriage trial. Oh, I like to study. You're in high school, dude. Get a life. Touch some grass. Yeah, I'm not saying to all
His
high.
life is not being broke no
Listen,
more. That's why he's trying to be a doctor.
anybody in the age range of 16 to 21 right now. I'm talking to high school and college people right now, okay? You it is okay to study. I want you guys to study. I want you guys to be the best you possibly could be, especially young black men and women. Yeah, I'm throwing race in there. Young black men and women. We want some doctors, we want some engineers, we want some lawyers. I want all of us to be focusing on the academic stuff. I feel you. But also don't be a shut-in because I know a lot of people who were shut-ins growing up. And let's say this. Social wise, there's a lot of room for improvement for them. Okay? So that's very important. You can't have the brains and also not be social. You got to do both. So this
Not the
male
soapbox.
protagonist who's
He said, "You better have social skills and be
you better,
smart
bro.
too, please." Duh. I get it.
Because
It is tough, especially cats who went through college during the peak of the pandemic. That
yeah,
was tough.
I
Or
agree.
started college during the pandemic because I think that was tough. But
It was.
I suppose that's neither here nor there.
Yes. So they go on this walk and everything, and pretty much he asks what he studies, his hobbies. He says he studies, and they kind of had like a little. He had a little snark remark towards her because he just couldn't fathom why suddenly she's being nice to him, and she's actually being careful what she's saying, which is frustrating him more because he's like, "This is not you. This is not who you are. Show me you." And she gets upset, and so she goes and freshens up a little bit, basically. While doing that, the male protagonist talks to the other sisters, the older sister and the younger sister, basically, and they reveal that Yuna, the red haired little sister, the red haired middle child, basically has this big weight on her shoulders where she feels like she has to defend her sisters and the shrine itself. So she's going to sacrifice herself to be with the male protagonist, which to me was wild. It was like, oh, dang, that's crazy. Like, if I heard that someone said, I'm only with you to protect my sisters from being married to you, that's offensive. That's wild to say.
That
But
was crazy work.
but I get her Sundere behavior. That's just how it is, right? So so the sisters were saying
Especially when she definitely doesn't hate him.
yeah, she doesn't hate them. It's just kind of like there's definitely just a lot of growing to do between them. A lot of like they gotta just know each other more. So the older and younger sister were talking to the male protagonist and pretty much letting him know this, which was good information for him because finally when he talks to her again, he actually asked the older and younger sister, hey, what is she into? Like, who is she as a person? And this is why I like this episode a lot, is because we see that this middle child loves cats. So he takes her to a cat cafe and they spend all day just sitting there around cats, petting, loving, and he's showing her pretty much that he is trying to understand her and wants the best for her, and she's
And that
appreciative
he
of the
can be
fact
thoughtful.
and that he can be thoughtful, and she likes that a lot because she's now learning that there's a different side to him, so it's good, until he
Yeah.
cock blocks himself by being like, oh my gosh, romance, oh yucky, I'm gonna go study, oh nerd, type of stuff. It's like,
He
oh okay,
low-key did that though. He
right,
wasn't just that he did. I think he was just like, oh, like now that you're back to your normal self, and then she starts throwing salt at him again. He
right,
said something dumb.
yeah, he says something
You're
dumb.
right. This episode was better than I remembered. You're right. This is a pretty decent
And
episode. I think if only for that character development with the middle girl.
yes, I can agree with that. I can agree with that. And the last but not least, the last trial is with the sister, the older sister, and she's a brunette. If you guys are trying to put in your head who she was, um, she was actually. It was interesting how they kind of played it off because I knew she would probably be late because she's the ditzy girl who is like carefree supposedly. But on the third date, on the third trial, he shows up and she's gone. She's just not there basically. Now he does go up to her room and she's in the middle getting dressed. And they had to show fan service of her boobs and everything like that. Typical
I hope they
romance
get
stuff.
past that, bro. I
I hope
really
they do
hope they
too.
like. This is
I
just
need to
like a
see
really
it.
growing pains at the beginning of the show, and
They
that
have
plot takes over later.
it's a trope that they
Because
gotta
it's
throw in because it's a romance drama. It's anime. What you gonna
yeah,
do?
yeah. I really hope they get past that.
And so yeah, so he knocks on the door. She acts ditzy basically, so he gives her like a little bit of time while he studies outside the room. Time goes by. He's like, "Hey, where you at?" He opens up the door. She ain't there. Say what? She ain't there no more, bro. So he's like, "Where did she go?" So he's going to talk to the sisters and everything. Like, "Yo, what's popping? Where's she at?" And they're like, I don't know. So he does the smart thing, which is go back up to the room and use context clues and be like, wow, I see this painting that she has right now of the shrine that I know the location of. She probably was trying to finish it. Let me go to that shrine location. Fair enough. He goes there. There she is, just sitting there mindlessly drawing the shrine, right? And so he's sitting there, not trying to yell at her or not trying to be like mad at her, but he's kind of just like confused and kind of like what was going on. Like we were like you were missing. We didn't know where you were. Like what's happening basically. And she pretty much says that he pretty much asked her like, why didn't you want to meet with me? Like why didn't you? And she kind of said it was a secret. She at first she said, you really don't know why I didn't want to go on this marriage trial with you. You really don't know. So he was like, he didn't say this, but in my head, this is what I would have been like. Of course I don't. If I knew why you left, I wouldn't have wasted dialogue telling you or asking you where you went. So tell me where you
he was
went.
like, he was like, I got 22 minutes here. 22 minutes of screen time here.
Like you see the screen, we're in this world of 22 minutes, and then it goes black for 7 days. We come back again. Like, come on, explain yourself. Like, what's happening here? So anyway, she acts the most she acts the most like distant in a way in terms of how she doesn't reveal her feelings to him fully. So I'm sure there's some deep backstory with her on why she is the way she is. So anyway, he walks her back home and he talks to her a little bit. Um, and as what happened? As an apology, right? She buys him like a good luck charm, right? That's what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like something
Oh,
happens where I think he passes her the charm.
yes. So he gets the charm, and they had like some little dialogue. She's about to walk away.
I think
He's
they
in
like
his
made a
head.
joke or something.
He made a joke or something like that. You're right. and she's about to walk away. He's over here fantasizing about, oh my gosh, she's so fine, she all this and that, right? And then she turns around and she's like, hey, so which sister are you gonna marry? Spit take, what you mean? Well, that's a weird question to ask. And she said that pretty much like you have to know, right? Like who you gonna be with. So long story short, shocked, the male protagonist refuses to like because
He
in that same
hesitates and he takes a step back.
he takes a step back. Hold on, wait a minute, because she said that she pretty much said that like, are you telling me on this date right now that we're on a marriage trial? You're not gonna tell me that you're into me? You're not gonna say that at all? And he's like stuck. He's like, dang, I'm trapped. What am I gonna say? Do I want to be with her or not? And so Jason's right. So then he has the charm. He takes a step back, trying to collect himself. He didn't know he had a staircase to his death, basically, right behind him. He leaned back real quick. He's like, oh snap, I'm about to die. He goes through a flashback sequence of anything possible. His mama, everything flashback, but then also we got to flash forward. We got to see that he does become a doctor. We got to see that he actually did go to college and study and everything like that. We got to see that he actually did get married because on his license, either his license or certificate, I think it was his license, it had
It
his
showed the
name
last name.
and the last name, and then it showed all three sisters back images of him holding their hands romantically. Like, oh, who is it going to be? Is it going to be the little sister because that's illegal, you nasty freak? Is it going to be the middle sister? Okay, that's a little weird too. I can go with the older sister. I don't know her age, but that's probably
Why
also
was the
weird.
middle sister
So
weird? I thought they're the same age.
probably. That's fair. I take that back. She ain't. It wasn't weird. But either way, this whole thing is about high school girls. Overall, weird for me. So younger, middle, older, basically. And he was like, "Wait, do I marry all three of them?" Which I give credit to the writer because the writer either said that for two reasons. Either one, because they're planting a seed so that way if it does happen where he does marry all three, the writer, we can't say that we weren't aware of that as a possibility because the male protagonist did say
That would
that
be so lame.
it would be lame and terrible. And if I'm watching a romance, I want a loser.
No,
Okay,
what?
when
That
I
would be
Oh,
watch,
like the
what?
that
yeah,
would be
no,
like the
like,
Koto Uso show. That was like it was hot all season long, and then it went from being like 8.9 type
yep,
score on my anime list, and it sunk down to like 5.6
because of
when
what
the
they
last episode
decided.
dropped.
Yeah, as it should have been.
No, it not. Not only did it end undecided, that would have been better. It ended by him saying, "Well, which one do I choose? Which one do I choose?" You know what the result was? Spoiler alert for Koto Uso, people who are watching it, I don't know, 10 years later or whatever. But it was such a good premise. It was such a good show. Like, the
Oh,
whole
he's
premise is what if you're in a
trauma.
world. I have to explain
Go,
this show
go
for
ahead.
PTSD.
Go ahead.
context.
Go ahead.
This is a show, it's kind of a romance, and it's set in a world where Japan addresses the birth rate decline by enforcing essentially there's a system that keeps track of like who you are, your family history, like how you're doing in school, blah blah blah, and then your prospects for life. And then at 16 years old, through this complicated algorithm with all these people who work within the algorithm to work it, you get your assigned partner. And essentially everyone gets married, but everyone's like kind of in arranged marriages at a national level.
Yeah.
And people's happiness percentage went way up, blah blah blah. It was like, oh, what happens if you like pretty much if you decide to go against that system, you kind of get blacklisted for life. Like in the country,
Dang.
like it's harder to get jobs. Like it's like all this bad stuff, right? And so
They
it's
for
like,
real
oh
over there.
snap! So like, there's this thing. There's this guy. He likes this girl, and he's liked her for a long time, but he never really like confessed. Turns out she liked him the whole time, and it
Worst
was just
villain.
like cool stuff or whatever. And the day before, like, because there's like I think on your birthday or 16th birthday or whatever or something like that, you get your assignment or whatever.
Ooh.
The day before he got his assignment, he finally confessed, only to find out that she liked him back. And then the next day, he gets an assignment, and it's somebody else. It was so. I'm telling you, this is one of the best. It was like, in terms of the best starts to a drama romance I've ever seen. It was absolutely fantastic. Do you want me to
I
say how it
guess
ends,
I
or do you
guess
want to just enjoy the journey? Because the journey was great.
just tell me how it ends. I tell me how it ends. How does it end?
It was a 12 episode, just like wow, this is awesome. I don't know what's gonna happen, and then that, bam. His solution to the whole thing was let's go to a marriage photo shoot, and then the show ended. But it was all three of them together because they all became friends.
Oh gosh.
I was like,
Oh,
yo,
disgusting.
this is one of the biggest letdowns in anime ever
See,
for me personally.
and that is why I was telling Malcolm and you, Jason, that I want losers in this because I watch. If I have to watch Love Is Blind or I have to watch whatever reality TV show Netflix keeps pumping out because my girlfriend wants me to watch them. Love you, by the way. I have to know that there is going to be a winner and a loser at the end of all of this, right? So if I'm watching a romance anime, I'm investing hours of my energy. Do not throw me that twist of all three girls. That's not how it works. This is we are mono. One. You
He's
pick
like,
one.
make a decision.
Make
That's
a
the whole
decision.
point. And
Yeah,
I don't
so
like this trend in media where no answer is the answer. Like you keep watching all these movies and like everything builds up and there's all these opportunities and like the pressure is building on someone to make a decision. Even in thriller movies where it ends without like a clear conclusion, it's just like I get it. When you build up this much anticipation, depending on which camp you ended up in your mind, someone's gonna be disappointed, but at least give
make a
somebody some
choice,
closure.
bro.
Like I don't understand why movies and TV shows endings having no clear ending is now like the better meta or whatever. But I'm not sure if you guys noticed that. Like a lot of
No, I
stuff,
noticed that.
they don't clearly
Yeah,
end
having
things
an
anymore.
ambiguous ending. Yeah, I hate ambiguous
Yeah.
endings.
I'm so sick of that. Just give me an ending, please. Just think through it. You're the author. Do your thing, but give me an ending
Yeah.
so I can
I
move
agree.
on.
So I can like at least make a choice. So whether I'm mad or happy for it, at least I know, so I can just process my feelings appropriately.
Especially with these romance animes, dog.
Man, that's why,
At
man.
least the real good ones, they have an ending. Like Kimi no Todoke, classic.
Classic.
Watch it. I ain't even gonna
Oh
say
yeah, I
anything.
agree.
Just watch it.
I shall. I shall. That's why. Wrapping. Oh, sorry. Wrapping up episode
Yeah,
three.
wrapping
So
up
he
So
episode
we
wrapped.
are
three.
So
way off left field
he
right now.
Let's burn through the
Jason had
fourth
trauma.
episode because it's
So
super clear. It's
to
super clear.
wrap up the end of episode three, he grabs the chain, the charm, and she grabs it too, but it comes loose because
It
he's a
breaks.
human being. He falls down. At least we think he falls down after he went to that flashback, flash forward of like all three of the girls that he's holding hands with. So we don't really know which one he actually chooses. Typical romance trope. That's completely okay. It's fine. He wakes up. He's like, hey. He goes to the older sister. He's like, hey, by the way, did I fall down the stairs at all, or anything like that? And she's like, what are you talking about? That'd be weird. Like, what? And so he's like, oh, okay, I guess. And so that kind of like ends it right there. So we don't.
There was
I
another
obviously it happened.
miracle. There was
Right,
a
right, a
fate
miracle.
change.
Right, something like that. So anyway, that kind of wraps up episode three. Right, besides the bad guy showing up at the bad guy show up at the end.
Yeah,
Right.
he should have.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
he
they
showed up at
got
the end.
back, and then suddenly someone was there, and he's like, "Oh, who's this? Why did we make tea? Well, we're having an important guest, actually. That's why I'm being a jerk right now." And then,
Right.
this is the red hair girl, by the way. This guy shows up. He starts talking all this smack, saying like, "Oh, that's why your mom died of exhaustion."
That's
And then
crazy.
like,
That's
it was
fine
really
words.
like. It was just like, oh yes, it's so nice to see you guys. But like, by the way, you guys really need to like do better this year because I mean, I'm about to sell this. I'm about to sell this shrine immediately.
Should have
Who else would-
swung.
He said, I'm not trying to be embarrassed at this laughing stock of a shrine. He was just being as rude as he could possibly be about it. And
He should
then
have swung.
you could have sworn he was like, yeah, this terrible shrine. Pwah, like just like real
Disgusting.
disrespect type time.
Literally.
And then I think after that, the main dude, who do you? He was just like, you know what? Because you guys need to get at least 1,000 people at this next. I think it's like the shrine ceremony or something like that, or a festival. Because
Yeah.
since their mom died, the festival just like peaked off because she had a bunch of contacts and she was doing all this work, but then she
She
ran
had
herself
skill.
ragged, and I think the exhaustion contributed to her death
Yep.
in some capacity. They didn't really like get into it. Maybe it was some illness that was exacerbated by stress, but essentially, like she ran herself to the bone. I think she worked herself to death
Literally
to
to
keep
the
the
ground.
shrine going. And then the three sisters were trying to like pick up gang and just trying to like manage it, but they hadn't really been able to. And he's like, you know what? These girls can do it, and this shrine matters, and blah blah blah. You know, instead of 1,000, we're gonna get 5,000. I was like, why the heck
Right.
would you say that? He was like, bet if you get even a less person than this 5,000 ridiculous number, because you don't realize how ridiculous you sound saying 5,000 guests,
Yeah.
then I'm shutting this joint down and selling it immediately.
ASAP.
And then the episode ended. Fourth episode, let's be real, it's essentially them problem solving. I mean, jump in where you want, but each of them trying to come up with their solutions,
Yeah.
marketing, getting online,
I mean,
promo
I
videos,
mean,
the
I'll like
youngest sister
quickly
being weird.
summarize it. Like, yeah, they're just problem solving the issue that the main character Uryu, like he like caused, which like I'm like good. He was decisive and he was like he stuck up for the people he just met, which was nice to like see our main character actually like start to grow and connect with the people. And he was like, hey, we're gonna do this and we're gonna do this together. So they're just trying to figure out how to like market it better, and he's trying to be like this is you got to do it online, you got to like try to get people to come and like want to be here. And he like stayed up all night trying to figure out all these different just learning everything about it because he didn't really know anything about it, and so he learned about it and came up with a lot of strategies for it. And so the whole episode is just them coming up or like doing all the different strategies, whether that's like marketing with like pictures, taking the right pictures, and like going through all that. The girls like aren't good at it, but like they eventually like get better at it, and sooner or later it's like everything comes to an end. And the main the older sister, she's an artist, and I really like the koi part where she did the what is this the thing
Oh, yeah, the
this
koi fish drawing,
yeah
the charms. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that was nice.
that was
Yeah.
cute. So like they needed like a design, like a character, and like she was like being her procrastinating self, and she came up with the solution like last second. But it's very sweet and nice, and this is the highlight of the show for me. The symbol, it's the symbol. It's the two koi fish kissing.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it also I think was had something else that reflected success or whatever.
Yeah, like koi. The
Represented
koi like stands for like success and wealth and fortune,
flourishing.
but it
Yeah,
also stands for love as well. And so it's just like it works
yeah.
together. So it was a very nice, cute episode. Very simple. Very like it went along. It was fine. I don't think this would
Also,
be anyone's
Udiu
least
got a
favorite
lot of
episode.
the folks in the town, like show them like, hey, people still care about your shrine, and he connected with all the community leaders and stuff. And then that was a big success. And at the end of the episode, it's like, oh wow, like our main character does main character things, and he just like, you know, cliche, but things are moving.
Literally.
And then the episode ended, I think.
Nope, that's it.
Yep. The episode that was the most. That was
All right.
besides episode 1. That was the most straightforward episode. 2 and 3 had some meat on them. I'll give you that. But 1 and 4 very straightforward.
2 and 3 had some meat on. I think I underestimated how much content there was in 2 and 3. I'm not gonna lie, talking about this with you guys was actually more enjoyable than watching the show.
Oh,
A little
That's
bit so
pretty
far. I
Aw.
mean, I hope to get to the point where it's equally enjoyable,
Mhm.
but I think right now, us making fun of this show is really filling in the gaps for me. And then also, like, I'm noticing things like they really are setting up a lot. The youngest sister likes to run and is claustrophobic. The middle sister has,
a sweet
a
side.
complex about having to like keep everything afloat for the other two
Yeah.
sisters.
And she likes cats.
And she likes cats.
And she likes cats. Yes.
Gotta love a little bit of miscellaneous personality.
Yeah. Yeah. Likes cats.
But yeah, I don't think it's a bad show. Talking through this is having me think about some really like good shows. Like, remember when we were talking about how when you binge through
Toradora, yeah.
Yeah.
Toradora was a masterpiece. I didn't agree with how it ended, but at least it gave us an ending for one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I would have chosen Ami-chan anyway, but
Like 15 years later, you're still salty about it.
I'm not salty. I just think she was a better pick for him. But we can talk about that on another
That's
pod.
another episode.
But I kind of want to watch Golden Time with y'all. I've only seen it once, but I absolutely love that show. I think it's one of the best drama slice of life animes.
Who knows? Maybe when we finish the show, that might be the next thing. Because it's like six episodes, right?
Yeah. It's a 26 episode, and it's I would argue I'm pretty sure it's written by the same author as Toradora, but it's just completely different plot. but like the
Yeah.
same quality of writing. I would argue even better, just because it came after, and obviously you get better as you keep going. Hopefully, but yeah, that was good. Um, Next on our notes,
Wait. Is that it? That's all we
that's
feel
episode
about
four.
I
Titan
mean, I
Nine?
mean, do we want to give our our overall rating? I can give my
Sorry,
overall.
I mean,
sorry.
so
Hold
far
on,
it's a
wait,
really entertaining six
Jason,
out
be
of ten.
quiet. Be quiet. When I say be quiet, Jason, be quiet. Don't give your rating yet. All right, audience, wipe your brain, okay? You did not hear Jason's rating, okay?
Just
All
edit
right.
that out.
Yeah, that's true. I could do that too.
I could just edit it out, yeah.
So are we? Well, I won't say we. Let's talk individually, okay? Either we continue or we drop.
Now what? We're continuing this. We're
Continuing,
Y'all
it
continuing?
was number 3 for a little bit. There's something
So there's
here.
a reason. There's something happens. Okay.
I'm
I'll continue
continuing just
too.
for the content alone. I'm not saying I would like.
Oh,
We all agree none of us would have
I'm
watched this in general, but
I would have
Yeah.
watched another generic isekai. There's actually a generic isekai that I was waiting for episodes to come out and I totally forgot about. Now I realize I get to binge watch it.
There you go.
there
See,
you
boom. But I'll keep this on the back burner list. And since it came out during the wintertime, right? So all 25 episodes should be out now. Am I right? It should be. So
Maybe.
in that case, I might binge it all. Well, I won't binge it because I got other animes I gotta watch.
go. Also,
But I'll
we're
definitely
watching.
watch
Are
it.
we watching 4 at a time or no? Because are we continuing watching or talking about this on here or no?
No,
No, we're gonna keep talking about it. We'll do it 4 at a time. We don't have to do it on the next pod. We
Okay.
could, but
that's
we
true.
don't.
We keep on the back burner. If something happens and we all feel like it's worthy to talk about, then we'll
Yeah,
bring it on.
who knows? What if the
should.
next 4 episodes happen and we were like, oh my god, we gotta talk about this?
We gotta talk about it. Then
You
yeah,
know what
we'll talk
happens?
about
All right, if we keep watching and it turns out like, oh dang, I can't stop at 4. I gotta keep binging. Then we'll just have to do one big like.
Okay.
We'll probably do one at the end, like it's like a season review or like our
Watch
thoughts
this
on
be
it.
our number
See-
1 video. Like everyone just flocks to us.
It's
Be
just
like,
like a
this
bunch
is
of black
great.
dudes talking about some
Amagami.
Talking about some
Shrine
high school
maidens.
romance.
It was
But
like-
honestly, I would say this, man. This anime it's interesting. The first episode, there's a reason why there's a 3 episode rule. Okay, there's a reason why, because sometimes the first episode just it's there and you got to give it time to kind of build itself, build a story and everything like that. And look, if I can watch the first 7-8 episodes of Steins Gate and then watch the whole thing afterwards, and if I can watch One Piece, I should be able to give these shows a chance too. So I'll give it a chance.
also going super deep into it and actually dissecting it with 2 other opinions makes you see the potential that you wouldn't see on a first watch through because you're not watching it overly careful.
Yeah.
Like I'm not turning this show on and saying like, oh man, there's a masterpiece in here just waiting to be found. I don't feel that way.
Yeah.
That's how I feel when I'm trying to put someone on a show that I like, and I just get so triggered when they check their phone. I'm like, oh, you're missing it. His
You're
face
missing it.
just made a change. You see
Yeah.
that little facial reaction? That's going to be important in 70 episodes. And I'm
Yep.
just like, I get to be so irritating. It's like there's certain shows I like too much to ever recommend.
Well, I'm glad that we all have some type of positivity towards all of this because we're about to get negative. And I say that because Spider-Man 4,
We didn't
It's
even give our
rumored-
ratings.
yes, we did.
No,
Oh, wait, no,
we
we didn't. Cut that out, Jason. All right, hold on, wait a minute. All right, so let's
Are
do
you
our ratings.
okay?
Let's do our
This
ratings.
man needs some milk.
Let's do, no, I don't
He
like
does
milk.
not drink milk.
That's-
You know he doesn't.
I know he doesn't. He doesn't need
This is
butter
water.
either, so.
I was
Milk
just
is-
making fun of him.
Be quiet. Here we go. Whatever. Butter's the devil. All right, so let's talk about our ratings here. But let's talk about our
Like-
ratings. So let's go with Jason. Jason, give us your out of 10. What's your thoughts on this?
6. It's
Malcolm?
very mid. It's a very mid show so far.
I would give it a 6.5, but I think it's a very cute, fun show for the newer generation of anime fans who are into romance. Like, what I'm picturing is like if you drop this show in like 2010 or 2008, like
It would do
with
great.
that animation, it would do great because it like we're comparing it, and most of you guys are comparing it to older shows, and like you've seen these tropes before. And I'm just imagining someone who's younger, someone who's actually this is the target audience for, not us, grown adults.
Yeah, this
They
is
can
their
they're
moment.
watching this and they're like, oh yeah, I'm so edgy. Yeah, gods, what do I need to pray and like watch gods for and like or like whatever and like oh
It's for
girls like
those
nah
kids.
like I think
Girls,
this
no,
does well for its target audience. I think it does a
That's
good
a
job of
great
what it's
point.
supposed to do.
that's fair.
You're right. Um,
Still
we've
six
aged
point
out
five
of
out of
this
10. Yeah.
a little bit. I'm not saying it's a bad show. I just think to me it's mid.
Mm,
But again, you're right. I've seen these tropes time and time again.
yeah.
I
I
would
would
give
recommend it to somebody who's like newer to watching anime, and
I
they're like,
wouldn't.
no,
uh, you know?
no.
There's so many
Okay,
better
all right,
versions of this.
Yeah,
maybe recommend it.
Quintessential quintuplets. Yes.
yes,
Watch
the
that.
quintuplets.
I,
Yes,
That's
I
for
good.
yes.
recommend is a strong word. I'm not saying, hey, you need to go out of
I
your way
was,
to watch this, but
I
if
would say
someone
this.
was like, hey, did you watch this? Or like, here's a show I was thinking about, I'd be like, hey, yeah, I watched it. I know you. Maybe you would like this. I don't know, or maybe you would be okay
Right.
with it.
Like if they're
Yeah.
looking at it or they ask me that question, like, have you watched? I'm like, yeah, I'll tell you my thoughts on it, but I won't be like I won't call up Malcolm or Jason at 2 o'clock in the morning, and be like, yo, this anime is crazy. You got to go watch this, bro. So
If
I
somebody
ain't
woke
doing
me
that.
up in the middle of the night to
So
talk about this show, I'm putting your phone on silent for a little bit, bro.
Rightfully so. Rightfully so.
That's
So
crazy work.
Jason gave it a 6. Malcolm gave it a 6.5. Uh, I'm going to give it a solid 5.5 flexible because the reason why it is a point 0.5 is only because I see what the writer might be cooking, and I feel like it's going to be a slow burn to get to that meal. But it the 4 episodes was not enough for me to drop it. It was enough for me to stay on the ride for a little bit.
I'm cool
So
to for a slow burn, and if you guys are down, even if we record sooner than we normally do, but we just get back on this and only talk about this real quick, even if it's 20 minutes. I just don't want us to lose momentum with this
yeah,
show because this
that's fair.
show, this show does not have its own momentum.
no,
We're gonna need our
we are the
momentum to
momentum for this
Facts.
show.
We are the
this
momentum.
show
We are
ain't
the
good enough to
marketing.
make
We
it.
will. We might
What's
get
gonna
more
happen
views
next?
on this episode than the show would itself. So
I
Yeah.
wish I watched a really really like clearly kind of like lazy setup of an isekai, and by episode 2, it had more momentum than this one.
That's crazy.
And that's
That's
mostly
wild.
because I like overpowered main characters, and I'll admit it.
you have a type.
Yeah. That's a
Yeah,
wild thing
overpowered
to
main
say. You
character.
have
I
a
mean,
type.
solo leveling is all about that.
You have a type with anime. Yeah.
I
But
mean, not always. I mean, sometimes I'm in the mood
He's
for
just
slice of life, but
going.
sometimes I'm in the mood for just like I just want to, dude. Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball for the whole first 100 episodes is just Goku running through everybody
he has no idea what we're talking
with
about.
no effort whatsoever. Goes through one training arc with Krillin, and then continues to go through and run through everybody again.
Please keep this in. By the way,
Luffy.
please keep this.
We're keeping
Luffy.
this
No, no,
in.
no,
This is
no,
great.
no. If y'all talking to me about liking overpowered main characters, most of the genre is overpowered main
Look,
characters.
if you got to type, you got to type, Jason. That's all I'm saying.
Hey,
Look,
listen.
but listen, here's what I would say.
My favorite characters in these shows aren't even the OD ones unless it's like solo leveling or part one
Hmm.
Dragon Ball.
You know,
Luffy, he was running through people all the way up to Arlong Park.
he was.
Speaking
He
of,
was.
I will say I'm enjoying the show more than One Piece. So I'll give it that.
That's crazy work,
I
bro.
am enjoying this. 4 episodes in, I'm like, yeah, I'd rather binge watch this than One Piece.
Malcolm, I hope you know we're in the final saga right now, and they're doing one of the arcs right now. We're getting closer and closer to the end. If you don't catch up to One Piece, so that way you're there when the One Piece is revealed, you better. Like
I really
what?
hope that joint a letdown, bro. I'm gonna really be hurt because I've been watching One Piece since I was 11,
You
bro.
know how many? My biggest fear. This is the whole side topic, but my biggest fear is that the theories of fans have been so high. It's like the Game of Thrones writer who has that final book he never finished writing because the theory is that he's so scared about what the um,
Ending could be.
ending could be because everyone else has their own endings and fans seem to like a lot of different theories, right? So if Oda has like a One Piece like reveal and it's not as hyped up as we thought it would be, it could be a letdown. But if there's one thing I know is that I'm okay with it because same way how Luffy's transformations have been, especially his most recent one, right? His last one. It may not have been the most flashy, but man, the theme and fit the narrative was very good. So I trust that Oda, whatever the One Piece is, it will hopefully fit the theme and narrative as well, even
It's
if it's
gonna be
not
I'm
smooth.
mid,
gonna
just
keep
like the
my
show.
expectation.
It's gonna
Here
be
we go.
mid,
Stop
just like
that.
the show.
Stop that. I think I'm gonna keep my
Blasphemy.
expectations very flexible, specifically because of what James said. Because I think if your expectations get too concrete, then you're not even letting the artist be the artist and the author be the
Yeah,
author.
yeah.